Okay, imagine this for a second. You open your inbox and bam, there it is, an email. And it claims to be from you, but like 30 years older.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And the tone, it sounds exactly like you. Your quirks, the way you phrase things, even the signature, it looks like, your future, more successful self.
Huh.
But then you think, hang on, how do I really know it's authentic? Is this some brilliant prank? Or maybe, I don't know, sophisticated social engineering?
Or something else entirely, like a genuine message from, well, from the future.
Exactly. So today in this deep dive, we're going to unpack this whole wild hypothetical. We've got a stack of sources, including insights from some pretty advanced AI models, laying out methodical ways you might actually try to verify a message like this.
And it goes beyond just verification, too. We're looking at the implications. Like, what if communication only went one way, backwards?
Right. And the responsibility. What if you get a warning about something huge? What do you even do?
It's fascinating because we're trying to move past pure sci-fi speculation here. The sources actually propose, well, practical frameworks,
Yeah.
combining things like information verification, technical analysis, consistency checks.
It's a real roadmap for navigating this pretty intricate challenge.
So the big question is, what does this all mean for you if that email somehow lands in your inbox one day?
Okay, let's dive in. Your first thought, naturally, is probably going to be, prove it.
Right. Absolutely. And the sources hammer this home.
Mm.
Start with skepticism. A lot of skepticism. Especially since, current physics doesn't really support this. No method gives absolute certainty.
So given that huge caveat, how would you even begin to test future you? Where do you start?
Well, the core idea, according to the sources, is about establishing exclusive knowledge. You need to challenge the sender with information that literally no one else could possibly know.
Not even close friends, family?
Nope. Things you haven't even said out loud, never written down, stuff that only exists inside your head.
Okay, so really intimate details. And the sources get specific here, right? They suggest asking for, what, at least 3 facts like that?
Yeah, 3 seems to be the magic number they land on. Think about maybe a secret shame you've never breathed a word of, or a moment you only replay in dreams, maybe a regret.
Or like a small gesture you once made that meant the world to you, but nobody else would even remember?
Exactly, those kinds of things. Because 1 could be a fluke, a guess. 2, maybe lucky. But 3 really personal, unshared truths. That starts to feel, well, less like a coincidence and more like genuine knowledge.
Moving from uncanny to undeniable, as they put it.
Right. And beyond just the super personal stuff, the sources also talk about looking for temporal artifacts, future predictions, basically.
They're not just any predictions.
No, they need to, quote, split the difference between secret knowledge and public fact. So maybe the name of a book you haven't written yet, or the winner of some really obscure election years from now.
Or maybe a fix to a software bug you've been pulling your hair out over, but explained in a way only you would get.
Precisely. Things that aren't easily guessable, but will eventually become verifiable, at least to you.
And then there's the tech side. What's the ultimate future tech test they propose?
This gets pretty cool. They suggest a cryptographic challenge, like asking future you for the SHA-256 hash that's like a unique digital fingerprint. It's irreversible of a private key you will create, say, in 2035.
Whoa.
Or even better, maybe you could embed a future signed message in the email, something you could only verify using cryptographic tools that literally haven't been invented yet.
That would be pretty convincing.
Definitely leans towards strong evidence. But there's more. We also need to think about behavioral analysis, the style.
Right, because you said earlier the tone sounds like you. But should it? Perfectly.
That's the interesting part. The sources suggest a real future self should actually show some signature-style drift, subtle changes.
Like how?
Maybe your sentence structure evolves. Your word choices might age a bit. You might pick up a certain wisdom, or maybe cynicism you haven't earned yet.
So if it sounds exactly like me now, that might actually be suspicious.
There could be. A future self should show signs of, growth, scars, maybe hard-won joy, or just the weight of slow disappointments. There should be some change.
And what about the feel of it, the emotional side?
Yeah, the sources call it emotional fingerprints. Even if all the facts check out, if it feels flat, lacking that resonance, that could be a red flag.
But conversely.
Conversely, if reading it gives you this deep feeling in your chest, like hearing your own voice say something true you didn't even know you believed,
Yeah.
that could be a powerful indicator of authenticity.
Okay, so let's say this message arrives, it passes some of these initial tests. Then maybe it describes a news event from yesterday perfectly, matches the newspaper headline word for word. Is that proof? Does that clinch it?
Ah, that's a really important distinction the sources make. Just matching past news isn't proof on its own.
Because anyone could do that.
Exactly. Anyone with internet access or who bought yesterday's paper. The critical step, the sources say, is to dive into the technical details. Look at the email headers.
The metadata.
Precisely. Specifically, the received timestamps. You need to compare when that email claims it was sent against when that newspaper actually hit the stands or the news broke online.
Okay, so if the email timestamp is demonstrably before the news became public,
And there's no sign the headers were faked or backdated, which is tricky to verify but possible, then you're looking at something suggesting genuine temporal insight, not just recycling old news.
got it. So that moves us from just reacting to the message to actually actively testing it. If the sender has shown some knowledge of public events, maybe correctly dated, what's next? How do you test their access to your personal timeline?
This is where you push back a little. The sources suggest replying and asking for something specific that you will see or experience tomorrow, but that is definitely not going to be public knowledge.
Something completely private.
Totally private. What you'll have for lunch, a specific conversation you'll have, something only you would know. If that specific detail shows up, verbatim, in the next email from them.
Then that suggests a much stronger, more personal connection and real access to your future.
It points that way, yes. And there's another sort of mind-bending test the sources propose, creating what they call a paradox lock.
A paradox lock sounds intriguing.
It is. The idea is you write a message yourself, but you set it up so it only gets sent if the next message you receive from your future self is wrong about something.
Okay, so how does that test them?
Well, if the sender truly knows your future actions, they'd know you prepared this counter message. They might even warn you, hey, don't send that message you wrote.
Ah, proving they see what you're doing.
Exactly. But if they say nothing, and their prediction is wrong, and your message automatically triggers and gets sent, it suggests their view of the future is maybe limited, or maybe they're not who they claim to be after all.
That's a clever way to test their foresight. Okay, we've been focusing entirely on getting messages from the future. Let's flip this whole thing.
Okay.
What if you discovered the ability, but it only works one way, backwards? You find out you can send an email to the past, but you can't receive anything from the future. You can only send.
Whoa. That completely changes the dynamic.
Right. What do you do with that kind of power?
Well, the sources point out, yeah, that shifts your role entirely. You're not a recipient of wisdom anymore. You're a potential source. You can't ask future you for stock tips or lottery numbers.
No asking for help.
None. Instead, you're holding this instrument like a scalpel that can make incisions in the past, but you can't see how to stitch up the future you want. The huge questions become, who do you even send a message to? And what on earth do you tell them?
So what do the sources suggest? What are the options? They must have explored this.
Oh yeah, they offer some really thoughtful possibilities. One obvious one is messaging your younger self.
To tell myself what? Avoid mistakes. Buy certain stocks.
The sources lean away from that, actually. Not trying to reprogram your whole life, but maybe just nudge it
Yeah.
gently. Imagine sending a message right before a moment. It hurt, but also taught you something vital.
Like what?
Like maybe sending a note that just says, write down what you really, really want right now. You're about to compromise because you're scared. Don't. Or talk to your grandfather this weekend. Just listen. He has one more story you need to hear, and you'll regret it forever if you miss it. Small things with potentially big emotional impacts.
Yeah, that's subtle but powerful.
And then there's this other fascinating idea. Seeding the present by planting things in the past.
Yeah.
If you can't directly make the future you want, maybe you can create the right conditions for it.
How would that work?
Maybe you send anonymous hints to past thinkers or inventors. Not the whole answer, but just incomplete blueprints, a fragment of a formula. You become this sort of quiet benefactor, nudging history towards a future you'd prefer to live in.
A silent partner to progress.
Kind of, yeah. Or another angle the sources mention is becoming a ghost mentor.
Ghost.
Sending anonymous, maybe weekly emails to people back then who you admire now. Struggling artists, scientists chasing long-shot theories, dreamers. People history might otherwise forget too soon.
What would you say to them?
Imagine someone 30 years ago, maybe a writer, gets an email saying, your screenplay, it won't sell. Not this one, but the producer who reads it, she'll remember your name down the line. Be kind to her.
Just offering encouragement or a cryptic heads up? Wow.
It's about potentially changing trajectories, just a little. And even if you can't email forward, there's still a way to talk to your future self indirectly.
Oh.
Build a time capsule, but a really durable one. The sources suggest things like encoding a message into a blockchain, maybe embedding it in synthetic DNA, or even etching it onto graphene.
Super long-term storage.
Exactly. Then you bury it somewhere you know you'll dig years later. It's not fast, it's not guaranteed, but it's yours. A message across time, your future self might find it and just remember.
Remember what?
Maybe just remember, wow, I wasn't alone back then. I was leaving messages for myself the whole time. A connection across the years.
Okay, from the subtle to the extreme. This brings us to the highest stakes imaginable. What if the next message you get from this verified future source isn't a nudge or a hint? What if it's a dire warning?
Like really dire.
Like, nuclear warhead launched from Moscow, target, Washington, D.C., impact in 2 days. What do you do then?
Okay, deep breath. The absolute first step, the source's stress, is triage. Is this real or is it terrifyingly effective disinformation?
How do you even begin to tell? The clock is ticking.
The key question becomes, does the message contain highly specific, actionable details? We're talking exact launch coordinates, precise timings, maybe payload specifics, insider jargon, call signs.
Even nuclear launch codes. Is that plausible?
If it had something like that, I mean, if it carries that level of granularity, that specificity, it's almost certainly not a prank. That's when you have to assume it's real.
Yeah.
And you move fast.
So, okay, you're convinced, or at least acting as if it's real. What's step 2? You can't just call the White House hotline, can you? They'd think you're a crank.
Exactly. You'd get nowhere, waste precious time. The sources outline a strategy they call the Whisper Protocol.
Whisper protocol. Okay, what is it?
It's about using indirect credibility. You don't try to convince anyone who you are. You leverage the information itself.
How?
You submit an anonymous tip, but packed with those hyper-specific details through secure, established channels if possible, like official tip lines for intelligence agencies. Or maybe leak it carefully to a trusted journalist known to have solid connections in defense or intelligence circles.
Spreading the information carefully.
Very carefully. The specific recommendation is to prepare a concise package of the core data launch time, location, target coordinates, any verifying details, and send it simultaneously to maybe 3 different strategically chosen targets.
Oh.
Maybe a major U.S. defense contractor's security division, a relevant desk officer at NATO headquarters, and perhaps a high-profile independent cybersecurity analyst known for dealing with state-level threats.
Diversifying the points of contact.
Right. And the message itself needs to be surgical. Pure data, no emotion, just, you don't know me, I won't contact you again. This launch is scheduled for time from location, target, exact coordinates, payload details if known. You have less than 48 hours. Do what you must. End of message.
Wow, just the facts. Delivered anonymously.
And once that message is out sent encrypted, if possible, the advice is stark. Document everything you did, encrypt it all, and then vanish, disappear.
Vanish. Why?
Because you might be seen as involved or target yourself. And critically, encrypt your documentation with a dead man switch.
What's that?
It's a system where if you don't actively check in or enter a code within a set time frame, say 48 hours, it automatically releases all the information, your original message copy, the metadata, maybe even your identity, to pre-selected contacts or publicly. It ensures the warning survives even if you don't.
A failsafe.
Exactly. You don't try to evacuate yourself. You don't go public on social media. You absolutely don't expect a thank you. The sole focus is on getting the actionable intelligence to people who can potentially act on it, to save millions of lives, even if no one ever knows it was you.
That's an incredible weight of responsibility. Okay, let's shift gears slightly to something less apocalyptic, but still really tricky.
Okay.
You get an email from your trusted future source. It warns, tornado will hit your town center today at 2:00 p.m. sharp. It's currently noon. You look outside, bright sunshine, blue skies, not a storm cloud in sight.
Right. Classic setup for doubt.
Can you just assume the warning is faulty? Say, nah, look at the sky, it's fine.
According to the meteorological insights in our sources,
Yeah.
absolutely not. You cannot assume it's faulty based on current clear skies.
Why?
Because tornadoes, especially the dangerous ones spawned by supercell thunderstorms, can develop incredibly fast, sometimes in minutes. In clear skies, warm, humid air, that's often the perfect fuel for explosive thunderstorm development later. Sunshine now offers zero protection from violent weather 2 hours from now, especially in tornado-prone areas.
So the clear sky could actually be part of the setup condition.
It often is. The sources basically frame it as you have two possible futures playing out from that moment at noon.
Which are?
Future one, you act on the warning, you take shelter, maybe warn neighbors, notify authorities anonymously. People survive, whether the tornado hits or not. Future two, you dismiss the warning because it's sunny, you do nothing. If the tornado does hit, people could die needlessly.
And there was a third outcome too, right?
Yeah, the quieter one, you act, you warn people, the tornado doesn't materialize. People might roll their eyes, call you paranoid.
Until maybe they remember you warned them about something else before and you were right.
Exactly. Credibility is built over time. So the practical advice is, at 12:01 p.m., you make that anonymous call to the Weather Service or emergency management with the specific time and location from the warning. You personally prep your own shelter, and you start watching the official weather radar like a hawk yourself.
Okay, so you act. Now, let's say it's 2:00 p.m., the time mentioned in the warning, and nothing. Still sunny, maybe some puffy clouds, but no tornado. But then can you assume it was a hoax?
Still no, not yet. You can definitely start doubting it more strongly. But you can't definitively conclude it was a hoax right at 2:00 p.m.
Why the hesitation?
Couple reasons. One, the timestamp in the warning might have been slightly imprecise. Maybe it meant around 2:00 p.m. Two, and this is crucial, your very act of receiving the warning and potentially acting on it, like notifying authorities who might then be on higher alert, could have subtly altered events.
The observer effect, changing the outcome by knowing about it.
Precisely. Maybe your warning led to some butterfly effect change that prevented the storm cell from forming exactly as predicted. It's impossible to know for sure.
So when do you start seriously suspecting it was just wrong or a fake?
You'd start leaning towards hoax or false alarm. If, say, by 4:00 p.m., a couple of hours past the predicted time, there's still absolutely no severe weather activity. The radar remains clear for your area and surrounding counties. No damage reports surface. Then, yeah, the probability shifts significantly towards the warning being inaccurate or false.
So it's a process of gathering negative evidence over time.
Exactly. Which means the sources emphasize you absolutely must rigorously document everything. The full email content, the exact warning, what the actual weather conditions were like at noon, at 2:00 p.m., at 4:00 p.m., your actions, who you notified when, any official alerts that did or didn't happen.
You create your own little case file.
You basically create your own future email Roswell file, a control test. Because a missed prediction isn't automatic proof of a hoax. It could be a successful intervention you cause, or just an imprecise forecast from the future. You need the data to analyze it later.
This whole exploration, it's been quite a journey. We've gone from, the really personal, intimate secrets needed to just believe it might be you, all the way to the global stakes of a nuclear threat, and then down to the surprising complexities of a simple weather warning.
It really covers a lot of ground. And what seems clear, threading through all the sources, is that if a message like this ever did arrive, it demands way more than just blind faith or instant dismissal.
It requires, what? Methodical thinking.
Yeah, methodical verification, definitely critical thinking, weighing probabilities, and maybe, most importantly, grappling with a potentially profound sense of responsibility for the knowledge you've received.
Stepping back and looking at the big picture, this whole hypothetical scenario, it really pushes us, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It forces us to confront not just the, maybe remote possibility of actual temporal communication, but also the sheer power and the terrifying uncertainty that would come with knowing about other timelines or future events.
It makes you question your assumptions about time and consequence.
And really consider the impact of our own actions or inactions in a much bigger context.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? If time really isn't just a straight line, if it's more like a spiral or something even stranger, what kind of influence could you potentially wield, forward or backward?
And maybe the most pressing question. If a warning does come, whether it's truly from the future or just from a source with incredibly advanced predictive power, are you prepared to act?
Knowing that your choice, your single action or inaction based on that message might not just change your future, but could ripple outwards, potentially changing the very fabric of time itself, it's a lot to think about.